Welcome back to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Feroz, and in today's episode, we are going to cover 5 projects that I think have the potential to make a move in June. If you want to find out more, stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Decentralized Chain. If this is the first time you're here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Better still, come and join us in Telegram so you can stay up to date with all the latest information there as well. Now, in today's episode, we are going to be looking at 5 projects that I think have a potential to have somewhat of a recovery in June. So, clearly, it's no surprise that the market overall has been rubbish. Since the beginning of the year, we have pretty much been in a downtrend. And, I'm hoping that we're getting to a point where we're leveling off. But I personally think we've still got a bit more pain to come before we see the greener pastures. But before we do, let's have a look at some of the projects that I think in June do have a potential to do well. Now, first up on the list is actually Cardano. Now, the reason I'm talking about Cardano actually is because they also have a hard fork coming out soon enough, which is the Vasil Dubov hard fork, or named after the mathematicians, the Vasil hard fork. Now, here, obviously, this is going to bring improvements to the actual blockchain itself, but also saying that, when you do look at Ethereum, even if you go back all the way to last year, I think it was September, right? Last year, September, we had the announcement for the Alonzo hard fork, which was obviously bringing smart contracts to the platform. And although we kind of peaked at around the $3 mark, and the actual event itself didn't really happen until a few days after, we didn't really see any type of resurgence after then. So my personal view is there does seem to be a lot of investment going back into Cardano as a whole. And I think that's partly because, obviously, of the hard fork coming up. So, if we do kind of have a look at the charts itself, I would say that if there is enough volume and enough interest, and let's be honest, we've had some decent volume over the last few days, actually, in Cardano itself. And if this does seem to continue, I would most really think, that if we kind of just look at simple support and resistance on the charts, then potentially, we have a potential, I would say, for maybe a 20% increase on the upside. Not financial advice, obviously. But, I suspect we could have a good run up to around 74 cent before it starts losing a bit of steam, because we're going to hit a fair bit of resistance around that. So that's one to watch out for, which is Cardano. The other one that I think, that certainly is one that has a potential is actually nearprotocol. At the moment, it just looks like it's pretty much just been what I would say just consolidating around this sort of $5 mark. And it's a shame about nearprotocol because they did have a lot of investment coming into it. That's actually why we had the peak up to $20. There was some news around that as well. But since then, it's gone down. But this also, I would say, has been partly because of the whole Terra Luna situation as well, in terms of what happened with their stablecoin. Now, the other thing here is that Nero was also bringing out a stablecoin. They have one as well, and I would say that given the time of the incident with the whole Terra Luna, the market hasn't quite really recovered, and also other L1s that are I would say potentially looking to do similar things have also unfortunately taken a negative hit. But I do feel Near certainly has a lot of bonuses to it overall as a platform. And certainly one thing that we will start seeing is when you look at Terra Luna, one of the things here is they had a fitness app on there, which was Tracer. Now, with the whole sort of collapse of Terra Luna, there aren't, projects are going to be looking in order to survive. So they're going to be looking at other L1s that they can potentially migrate over to in order to continue, right? Because just because Terra Luna's gone down doesn't mean the project has to disappear altogether. And we've seen that. The case with Tracer, it's a pretty large project. They've ultimately moved over to nearprotocol. That's where they want to build and continue. And I think we're going to see more of that coming along. We're going to see the fallout from Terra Luna. We're going to see popular projects from Terra Luna. And I believe personally that they are going to start migrating towards other L1s, and Near provides that also as well. Because everyone might be saying, well, that's fine. Why don't we just move on to Ethereum? Well, we know what the issue with Ethereum is. High gas fees, high transaction fees, all of that makes it pretty much, I would say, to a certain extent impossible for the smaller investor to be able to, partake or actually use any of those platforms overall. So therefore, we're going to start seeing a push towards that. And I think that is what's going to be in place to start pushing near up higher. The other one that I think certainly has a lot of potential is algorand. Now, it's been going down since a high of $3, and now we're kind of somewhat around 41 cent. I think there's a strong bottom around the actual, I would say, 25 cent mark. I think if we get near there, it's definitely worth snapping a few up. Again, not financial advice, but I certainly will be looking at obtaining some at that level. But saying that, certainly for June, I feel that it does have a significant upside to it. The upside reason mainly is because, obviously, if we kind of go back, now, yeah, you might be saying this is old news, but, there was the announcement with FIFA announcing that Algorand was going to be their blockchain, right? It was going to be their partnership blockchain for innovation. Now, whilst that might be old news, just know that later in the year, we also have the World Cup. We have the FIFA World Cup coming up. And, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing plenty of Algorand bill posts all around the stadium. And also, it's not that it's just a partnership, but it's going to be a partnership on how to build on that. And, FIFA, football, it's a massive worldwide sport. So I think from that perspective, there's going to be a lot of innovation, a lot of partnerships, a lot of recognition for Algorand coming out. And obviously, again, more push towards it. So I would suspect that we will see a surge somewhat within Algorand as well. The other one that I would say that we should also look at is Polkadot. Now, Polkadot has been floating around the $9 mark. I'll be honest, the market is rubbish at the moment. So, a lot of projects aren't necessarily getting that positive sentiment to push up in price. But once again, with Polkadot, I think this has some significant potential. One of the things with Polkadot, to put it simply, is that Polkadot has the technology which is parachains. The idea behind Polkadot is obviously being blockchain interoperability, so you can have two different blockchains ultimately interacting with Polkadot, right? That's what we kind of always want to stream towards, because within this space, what we do have obviously is nodes of different blockchains, and what we do need is the interoperability, and obviously Polkadot is one of those blockchains that are looking to try and solve that. Now, the thing around Polkadot is that you have these parachains, right? And the idea behind those parachains is that projects will then obviously auction to try and take one of those parachains. And obviously the idea is that you lock up DOT as part of that. And by doing that, when the projects launch, you get somewhat some of those tokens as well for actually, supporting that parachain. So you kind of almost get a first mover advantage. And, as more and more projects, look to lock in more of the auctions, there is an opportunity here where people will be locking in their Polkadot. Obviously, when you're locking that in, you're also reducing some of the supply. And we know that has a positive impact on price. But also, I think somewhat at the moment, it's lost a bit of steam. And with everything that's going on, there's going to be major projects coming up on Polkadot as well. I think we're going to see a good push in price on Polkadot as well as an overall. The last one is, of course, Ethereum, right? Ethereum, I personally feel, certainly this month, we'll start seeing some positive news around that. One of the main things really around Ethereum that I would say is that it's going to keep it moving in an upward trajectory is pretty much the merge that's coming up. The merge is going to be a big thing. We're moving away from proof of work. We're moving over to proof of stake, which is a big thing in itself. And I suspect we're going to see a good price movement upwards, really related around the merge. Let's be honest here, until we're back in a proper bull market, we're not going to see the all-time high prices before, but we will see opportunities where the price will start moving up. Whether you want to capitalize on that or not, that's up to you. But, saying that, there's quite a few things coming out for Ethereum. First of all, today we've got the Ropsten testnet merge, which is, pretty much a window dressing for the actual merge. So that's pretty big. That's going to be happening on one of the testnets. We've got ETF launches in Australia. We've got funds coming in. So, there's there's plenty of traction coming into Ethereum. There's Fidelity also looking to hire employees to support custody and training services for Ethereum. So there's plenty, no one's really forgotten about it. No one is going to forget about it. And there is plenty of, good stuff happening, stuff being built on. So I think all of these are really factors that you need to consider, which I think will generally play a positive impact on the price of Ethereum over June. So there you have it, guys. My 5 for June, which I think have some significant news coming out, developments happening in order to see a bit of an upside. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next episode.